Hello, beautiful people. Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life. gbhbl.com for short. Episode 11, the state of things. 11 weeks of doing this. Why does it feel like I've been doing this a lot longer? Maybe it's because the last few weeks have been a little unfocused, a little messier, and a little rushed because I haven't had as much time as I would like. Not to suggest that I suddenly have a bundle of time this week, but I've got a little bit more focus. I've got a little bit more content I want to specifically talk about. I'm going to try and keep that up going forward, and I'm always going to try and end the videos now with a specific thing, talking about a specific thing. Mainly gaming soundtracks and ones that I particularly admire. I know, super boring, but this is my video. If you don't like it, go watch, listen, something else. Obviously, that is always an option. It's not like YouTube doesn't have a wealth of content for you to enjoy, but I appreciate you sticking around if you really want to. Particularly as we're going to be covering some cool stuff here, including I'm going to talk about the process of single slams, which is quite specific to GBHBL, of course. Before that, you know it goes by now, it's a tea. Really, oh, excuse me, I've really narrowed down what I'm drinking now, but today I'm having a Clippers Organic Peppermint Infusion, which is really mellow, really nice. You see peppermint, tends to be quite mellow anyway, but it could be quite strong and overpowering. This is a really nice one. I enjoy sipping this. Aside from that, where were we? What was last week? Of course, last time I spoke to you, I was heading out, I was in the midst of late at work, and I had Saturday off as an annual leave day to go to a comedy club for a friend's birthday party. That happened. It was a fun night, a decent little venue, super packed, uncomfortably, I'd say, packed to a certain degree. They really try to get as many people in there as possible. Very expensive, being a Leicester Square, of course, for a drink, but a lot of fun was had. It's just a shame that the birthday boy didn't actually show up. Unfortunately, he blew out leading up to it, quite closely leading up to it as well. Which kind of sucked. But the rest of us had a good time. And afterwards, a little group of us, myself, Lou, Dan and Elle, we all carried on drinking, headed back up the Camden and jumped in the Black Heart for a drink, and then down to the Dev for a drink before heading home, and then eating a load of really late night food, which meant I suffered horrendously the next day. Every time I tell myself, do not eat late night food, and then I get in and I'm like, hungry, and it's like, ooh, takeaway. Uber Eats, just down the road. We could get some Grizzlies. Grizzlies is a local fast food place that does some incredible food. Some of the best wings I've ever had. So I'm always tempted to get that. But hey ho. I'm going to go back to that though. How I felt the next day a little later on. Because it kind of like, I basically, what a better word, I had a hangover for like a day and a half, and I didn't love that feeling, and it got me thinking about certain things. But I want to come back to that a little bit later on. As of right now, you are, of course, watching this the day after I've recorded it. It is Friday afternoon. It is 2:20 to be exact. I have just spent the last 3.5 hours working on a single slam today. It can take that long. I'm going to go through the process and explain to you the single slam process and why it takes so long, but also how you can kind of guarantee you get, if you're in a band, you get in it, either at the Friday or the Mondays one. But I've spent that, and this is in the midst of having 2 days off after a run of late. A couple of hours time, I'll be out. I'm heading out to go see Raging Speedhorn in London. Be a mellow night for me, which sounds silly considering it's Raging Speedhorn, but I have work tomorrow morning, quite early tomorrow morning, so I'm going to bring the car, not all the way to London, but like local enough, and of course not drink much at all. If it's any, I might have one pint, that's about it, but mostly it'll be a Diet Coke kind of night. Got work tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. start, which is me up about 5:15. 5:20, and then normally driving to work. But tomorrow morning I won't be driving to work. I'm going to get a cab all the way in, actually, because I don't want to bring my car, because it's my last day of work for a week, and I might need a car in the week, so I don't want to leave it at work. And tomorrow I'm finishing work, leaving my station and getting changed there and going straight up to London for another gig where Dope Throne with Wallowing and Petroleum are playing. That's tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to that, because from Sunday I have a week's annual leave. Yes, my first of my blocked leave starts this Sunday. So I've got a week off, a couple of things planned, either end of it, some gigs, and mostly just catching up on website stuff, videos, things like that I haven't had as much time to do in recently. So it's going to be a great opportunity for me to catch up and just obviously recuperate and forget about London Underground for a week, which I find super easy. It's a funny thing, like, I step out of that place and I forget it exists. It's as simple as that. I've got no like connection to it outside of just being there and doing the job when I'm there. I don't think about it. I'm not in a position where I need to be contacted outside of it. There are no such thing as out of work hours. What are you going to ask me? What are you going to freaking, aside from, local managers, maybe someone's dropped me a text like about a thing. Oh, can I move to this station, whatever like that. But that's kind of they shouldn't, obviously they shouldn't do that. But that's more of an agreed thing because they're colleagues and friends more than necessarily managers kind of things. But outside of that, nobody's messaging me, emailing me for information at 7 o'clock at night. When I finish work 2-3 hours beforehand. It just doesn't happen, and that's fine by me. I plan to always keep it away. I think if you're like in a more managerial position, then rather than my supervisory position, then you get more of that stuff. I've never had any interest in. I didn't even want to be a freaking supervisor. I was more than happy sitting in a control room, being a control room operator. That was more than fine. It was a level. The pay was solid enough. The responsibility was just enough where the buck didn't stop with me. But it was still a fairly important job. I was more than happy with the shift pattern. Was what I was used to, earlys, lates, and nights. So when they forced me into the supervisor's job, and I mean, when you laugh and say they didn't force you, no, they did. Oh no, they did. They took my job away and said, "Now you're this." And that was basically it. It's been, don't get me wrong, it's been like, what is it now? 8 years? Yeah, what year is it? 2025. It's been 9 years of doing it, so it's fine. But, I never forget that. I didn't ever want to be a supervisor, but the last thing I ever want to be is managing. You say, well, what if they don't see in the future? Not likely, considering the current thing happening in the job is a massive cull of upper management, which, unionised part of me goes, well, yeah, we need less managers. But I also recognise that a lot of people are being screwed over in this process again. And for them, I have deepest sympathies. But what was I talking about? That just kind of went off on one. There we go. So much for the structure. But yeah, I've got a week off basically. And I'm looking forward to it. And it kind of starts tomorrow night. Tonight's said I'm looking forward to seeing Speedhorn, Inquire Within. Kill the Lights it's a good show, but I'm going to chill out, relax. It's the Underworld, so I expect it to be quite busy on a Friday night. It's a club night, so it's an early finish as well. So I'm just going to stand back and enjoy the heaviness, and tomorrow I let loose a little bit more. But first, today had to be heavily focused when I got up. So I get up. Let me talk you through my day, and this is kind of how a day where I've got to do a single slam, and I've got nothing done beforehand for it. So single slams are fluid, obviously. There's no set number outside of needing at least 2. But that's always a guarantee. And trying nowadays to keep it down to about, I don't want to go over 20 in one. Not now that I've split it up on a Friday and a Monday. So there are 2 single slams a week. You get one on a Friday and a Monday. And effectively what a single slam is, if you don't know, is it's a culmination of a collection of singles. Rather than doing each as an individual article, which is too time consuming and just not going to happen. They get lumbered into one big article. So you'll have a list basically. Say it's 10 singles where you get an introduction of the single, normally just copy and pasted from a press release, and then you'll get a couple of lines of review basically. Sometimes a link that directs you to a Spotify or a YouTube video. Sometimes the YouTube video itself is embedded in the page, and that is very dependent on certain things as well, which I will get to, because I've had people bug me about this before, going, oh, can you embed my video? Can you put the video directly into the thing? And it's like, no, because I can't just fill up the entire article. Like if I've got 14, use today's example, 14 singles, I can't have 14 videos in that. I mean, it's going to cause load issues. It's not going to look very nice. It's going to be messy. So it has to sometimes be either or sometimes I'll leave a gap of 2 or 3 songs depending upon how I'm feeling about it. There is no guaranteed way to get your video featured like in the actual article, aside from if you're the first and the last, because I always have a first and a last. But I tend to kind of, it's going to sound a bit rude if you want, but the first and last bands tend to be high profile bands, e.g. the attention grabbers as well. For example, today's one has Malevolence in it at the first band. I want to grab your attention with that band that everybody is way more familiar with. That's kind of the thinking now. But there is no hard and fast rule behind it. If you've got an actual video, you're more likely, I suppose, to get it in than, say, a lyric video. But it doesn't really matter to me. But it does matter to some. But if you send me an email saying, can I embed the video after I've sent you, here's the single slam, here's the Spotify playlist, it goes like this, and you send me an email back going, oh, yeah, thanks for that, but can you put the video directly in? You're going to get, most of the time I'm going to ignore you. I'm not even going to reply to you because there's a reason why it hasn't. It's not like I've done it on purpose. The link's there. It just needs to be clicked on. I understand that from a reader's perspective, they might prefer to have the video and see the video itself, but I just simply can't do it for everybody. And if I've left it out for a specific band, it's because of the gap more than anything else. I'm not going to rewrite the entire article to move things around just to allow that. You can say, well, why don't you just do it? What's the harm in having 2 videos in a row? Well, if I don't then have to, it sets a standard, doesn't it? If I do 2 in a row because somebody asked for it, who do I say no to next time? And why can't I do that further along? And then why can't I do 3 in a row? Why can't I do 4 in a row? It's stuff like that. The single slams are a lot of work. But I really enjoy them, and I think they're kind of a popular, or at least a well-known thing. And I feel like it's a little bit of a, not a little bit of a niche, at least the title and the concept behind it. Having a roundup, a single roundup isn't special. Who the hell hasn't done that? Who isn't doing that at the exact same time? But it's called Single Slam. It kind of fits with the GBHBL theme as well, and I like the way it's done. How it works is basically I collect. I have a folder, a tab, actually, on my email. And as the singles come in, I'll take a look at it. I'll see if it's realistically going to be something that I am going to cover. Most of the time, I don't even read too much into it. I'll just tag it as a single, see the release date, because that's super important, because I've basically got 3 tabs. Friday, Monday, and then singles overall. That one is for singles that are way in advance, that don't fall into a Friday or a Monday. Because what I mean by Friday and Monday is effectively the next Friday and the next Monday. Those are where they are then separated. So if you're sent me a single that comes out in, say, a month's time, you're just going to go into that single one and that singles tab there, the overarching one. Every week before a Friday or a Monday, I will go to that folder and check what's in there to see if stuff I put in there, say that's a month old and I've forgotten about, is it now time for that to be covered this coming Friday? So nothing ever gets missed, basically. But the majority of the time, boom, you get tagged and you dropped in to say if the Friday is the next day coming up. So for in this case, they were all tagged for Friday. You'll get tagged, and that's what I'll be covering. Then, ideally, over the course of 5 days, so from the last single slam, the Monday to the Friday, I will jump in and out. A major part of the work is prep, what I call prep single slam. I have 2 tasks, prep single slam and write single slam. Those are the 2 major tasks that get put on my planner. Prep single slam is exactly as it sounds. I'm preparing it. And what that means is I will sit there, create a Word document, and I will go through each email, each single, and copy and paste a little bit of the blurb about it. Normally, what the single is, the band, perhaps a brief description. Maybe if there's a quote from the band, I'll include that. But basically, I'm just taking that information and often just a little rewording here and there. So, for example, if it says like released today and the day was 2 days ago, I remove the word today, that kind of thing. But mostly, that's just a copy and paste, a small little blurb, basically, with hopefully a band quote or a band statement about the track, or perhaps an upcoming album that the track's from, and so on. That's the first thing that happens. That includes the title as well above it, and that's about all I need to do for prep. And I'll work my way through, say, 10 emails. And that'll be 10 things I have to prepare there. Most of the time it's easy. There are a couple who always seem to make this harder than it should. I'm not going to name and shame these people, of course, because they've all got a PR all works in different ways, and labels all work in different ways, and bands certainly do as well. But for the love of God, can you make this easy for people? And a really great example of where you don't is when you send me PDFs of bios, or PDF of here's the song press kit, and it's a PDF, and I'm like, the hell, I'm not sitting there having to write out a couple of lines of your bio because you didn't send it in a format where I could just copy and paste it. Bands, I know PDFs are pretty, I know they look great from a readable side of things and stuff like that, but just make it simple, man. Send this stuff over in an easily copy and paste element. It isn't about copy and pasting your entire bio, but perhaps say the first 2 lines where it's like, so-and-so band hails from so-and-so place and will release so-and-so album on so-and-so date. That is a copy and paste job. I want to copy and paste that. I really do. So don't make that difficult for me. That is a component of how someone as a single will get ignored. If you've made it difficult, really difficult, or too much work for me to actually do, I know it sounds mean, but when I've got so many bands to cover and so much music coming my way, you know, little things will get you pushed to the side. It will inevitably happen. You've got to think about that side of things as well. From a press perspective, how easy are you making it for the person on the other end to not just to understand your music, to hear your music? Obviously, send me a link as well. YouTube, if you've got a YouTube video, send it to me. Do not send me a link tree, like where I have to then click in that and then find your YouTube and all of this sort of stuff. Send the actual embedded, you know, video or link at least, or Spotify, whatever. As long as there's a way I can listen to it. Ideally, of that side of things, I don't love Google ones. That's purely because on certain devices and certain networks I have to use it on the like say Works one, it doesn't always play very well. It doesn't, and sometimes it takes a while to load. Dropbox works okay enough, but for the most part, I always like, if you've got a YouTube video, do it unlisted and send me that link. But the point is, the easier you make it, for me just to look, read, understand, and copy and paste that little blurb part, the more likelihood you're going to get covered. But rarely do I get funny about it outside of, here's a one-word email, hi, can you look at our single, question mark, attached, and then it's like, here's a PDF. I mean, what am I doing there? But for the most part, everyone's pretty good at getting their stuff over. In particular, like I said, the labels and the PRs, for most of them are really good, and regular names pop up now. So as soon as they come along, they're almost a guarantee and are tagged and ready to go. So anyway, that's Prep Single Slam. And bit by bit, I'll do that. Now, ideally, I will do that over a week's period. A 5-day period. It used to be a week because it was Friday to Friday. Now it's Monday. But ideally, I will do that over a certain period of time where I will go, okay, cool. Today I'm going to do 3 or 4 prep ones that come in and add them to them. That's to make the end result on a Friday a little easier, because come the Friday, in theory, I would have built up so many. There's a lot of work to be done now on the publication side of things. So at the same time as prep, I'll normally have the right single slam directly after it. So maybe I'll give myself 30 minutes to prep a single slam, and it's got 4 tracks I'm going to do for that. The next hour after, say for example an hour, is right single slam. Those same 4 tracks repeated, and it's me listening to it and forming words. Now, of course, with singles, I don't have to put as much effort in as I do, say, with albums, because it's more concise. It's more a snapshot, a bite-sized piece of music. So I will go for my first reaction a lot of the time. Sometimes it's a little harder, and maybe I've only written like 1 line and I need a little bit more. That's where multiple listens come in. Inevitably, all tracks do get multiple listens, because even as I'm writing it, it finishes and it starts again, and I'm hearing and I'm picking up at new things. But I do try to let it flow from my fingers to begin with, from the very first listen. A lot can be taken from that, but it's always good to obviously have a couple more, particularly if it's a more complex track. Sometimes, hey, it's a straightforward death metal track, or it's a stompy metalcore track hitting all the familiar beats, and boom, I've written 3-4 lines that sum it up nicely, my feelings on it, and that's all I need. That's the writing process. There's nothing complex about that. It is reviewing as per always. But sometimes I just don't have the time, or my focus is elsewhere. So a single slam literally ends up being done on a Friday. And today is a good example of that, where I woke up at 10:30. I had a late night last night. I was playing, what was I playing last night? I was playing a combination of Power Slave Exhumed, which is an old, like, first-person shooter in the style of Doom that's been remastered by Night Dive Studios. I'm really enjoying that game. I did not expect to love it as much as I do. And Assassin's Creed Mirage, that one. It's been a while since I played an Assassin's Creed game. I saw this one, and it was described as an old-school one. I thought, yeah, let me give this one a go. And I enjoy it. It's not the most exciting of games, but I'm enjoying playing it. Anyway, I was up late playing them, so I got up at 10:30. Laid in bed, doom scrolling for like 15 minutes, then got up, had some coffee, played a little more Assassin's Creed, and then about 11:45, moved to the computer, went through the emails quickly, tagged some more singles, because it was Friday morning, and then I settled down with a second cup of coffee to start prepping the single slam. And I decided on 14. By the end of it, it looked like there were 14 I was going to be covering. That's not a hard and fast rule. as I'm working on those 14, if another 1 or 2 come in, it becomes 16. It's that kind of thing. There is a cut-off point, and the cut-off point is I've finished writing. I've reached the end of my Word document, all the tracks are covered, and I'm now ready to move on to the next stage of it. 9 times out of 10, you will now get moved to Monday. If you're now sending me a single, it's not going to get covered. But again, it's not a hard and fast rule. If something comes in, I'm like, yeah, you know what, it'd be cool to include this one in today's one, I will do that. So, right, process. I have finished writing. I finished writing the singles, they're all written up, and now I need to put it into the website. It varies how long a lot of this takes. So the prep today took me 30 minutes for 14 tracks, which was really, really fast for me. A lot of good, simple, easy to read emails with great content that was copy and pastable for the prep side of things. The reviewing side of things for 14 tracks took me a bit longer. I had a couple of stop and starts where I needed to get up and walk around and let a certain track or two sort of ferment in my mind. But after that, the next part can take anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour because there are several steps and I need to focus. So on goes a video game soundtrack, something soothing and something that I'm used to listening to. That goes on and it's head down, because what has to happen now is I take that article and I put it into the website, obviously WordPress. And from there, I then build it into what it looks like. So we're doing formatting, we're doing rereading the content, rereading my review, my words to make sure there aren't any grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes. They still crop up, you know, but I do my best to try and get rid of as many as I possibly can. The formatting for the heading, the decision of YouTube videos being embedded or Spotify links and all of that. All of that is happening now at the same time as tags, social media stuff, SEO content. All of this is happening at the same time. Effectively, I work my way from the top down my page to the bottom, including all the videos and links and checking everything. And then at the same time, adding it to a scoring system, deciding on what the score should be based off my words. Obviously, a lot of it is arbitrary, but I do think there's quite a distinction between a single that gets like a 10 out of 10 and a single that gets a 7 out of 10. And then by the end, in theory, I'll reach the bottom, and then all I need to then do is go and basically work on the cover art and the Spotify side of things. Now, these days, I tend to do them at the same time. So originally I would finish one, then do the next. But now I try to do them all at the same time. So I'll have WordPress open, which has the article, the words, the content in it. It just needs to be formatted correctly. Alongside that is my Spotify playlist, the single slam say for March 2025. And the third tab is Adobe, and it's got the single slam artwork in it. And I now just need to change the images in and out. Basically, what I'll do is I'll go to the first track on that. So say for today, in the Stay Single Slam, it's Malevolence. And I will basically format that correctly, reread it and make sure it reads okay, add the video or add a link depending upon what it is. And then I will jump to Spotify, copy and paste the title into the search bar for that, and then add that to the single slam. I will then take the image, either album cover or single cover from the email I received, and then add that to the Adobe Single Slam cover, and then I will go back and forth doing that over and over again as I'm basically working my way down. So the idea is, come the end, all of them will be done at the same time. Then I simply just need to finalize everything. It is a lot of work, and it does take some concentration, and it can take me anywhere up to an hour depending upon the size and complexities of what I'm doing. But I've been doing it a while now, so I have kind of got a feel for it. You'd be quite surprised about how fluid it can be. And then then it's simply following that, I will obviously schedule it for posting 5 p.m. on a Friday, 5 p.m. on a Monday, UK times. You know how that goes. And then after that, I then jump over to the emails. And unfortunately, obviously I have to reply to everybody that sent me emails asking for the singles. Unfortunately, as much as I'd love to personalize a lot of this, I tend to have to use a copy and paste now, which is simply, hi, insert name. This is the single slam. This track has been covered in this single slam today, going live at 5 p.m. Here's the link. The link will work at 5 p.m. If you click it now, you'll just get a 404 error page. It doesn't exist yet. That's why. It will exist at 5 p.m. and the same for the Spotify playlist, although that one is live, so you can immediately see that one and listen to the tracks that have been included already. And then that's the end of the process. I sit back. Tell a lie, almost the end of the process. What am I talking about? Because at the same time as I put the cover into the article, I've sent that cover to my phone via AirDrop, because at 5 p.m. Obviously, the article then gets shared across the social media stuff. I have to do Twitter manually because Elon Musk is a twat, but you don't need to be told that. And then I have to jump to Instagram and stories and add the single slam into the stories every week, as well as the Spotify playlist and all of that. The work just continues. It is a lot of work. And then at the same time, I have been looking at stuff that needs to be there for the Monday one. Now, the Monday ones have so far proven to be a lot smaller because I'm still being quite efficient with the Friday ones. The Monday ones have varied between 4 and like 10 at the moment. That's fine by me. That's fine by me. Because obviously I've then got to do that at the same, like after the Friday one, and I have less time because between the Monday and the Friday, obviously I have, 4 days, 5 days, and between the Friday and the Monday, it's only like 2 days. So that's naturally going to be a lot smaller. But yeah, that's the single SAM process. It can take me hours overall. But I always enjoy it. Sometimes when I realise I haven't got any prep done or any work done, it can feel a bit like, oh no, I've got like so many tracks to do. This is going to be a lot of work. And sometimes I'll look back through the singles I tagged and I'll have like 22. And I'll sit there and be like, look, I've got to eliminate 6 of these. And hard decisions have to be made. But whenever I get into it, whenever I complete it, I'm always satisfied. Sometimes it's hard to come up with words for like songs that are very, very similar. That's sometimes where the spacing comes into it. But I enjoy the articles. I enjoy doing them, and I hope people like them and the purpose of them. You know, it's just a way for us to try and cover as much content as we possibly can, because we don't have the staff or the time to do many news articles. This is often a good way to get coverage on these singles. Yeah, that's the single. That's the single slam process, and that's really one of the major things I wanted to share with you this week. I'm going to try and do that at least on a sort of bi-weekly thing. I'm going to take a specific part of the website, the channel, and talk you through the process, my process, basically. That's the single slam. Get your ass back up there, you. Okay, I said at the start I wanted to talk about feeling rough at the start of the week, and that's what I'm going to do now. So yeah, that late night food left me very dehydrated on Sunday morning, and because of that I felt like crap all of Sunday, but it also carried into Monday, and that affected my motivation and my drive, and that ended up affecting my mindset as well. I was very down in the dumps, very bad mood on Monday because I was unmotivated, and basically work was going by the side because I couldn't be bothered to do it. I just felt like, and you end up thinking, God damn it, is it worth it? Is having a drink worth it when this is what happens? And I go through this all the time. I really do. That was Monday. It's Friday. I'm fine basically now. We get over it. It's a hangover and stuff like that. But it did get me thinking about like certain processes that I could do better, and certain things I've tried to do better over time and maybe not succeeding at. I know I need to drink more water. I know I need to not have very late night food. I spoke to my wife after and said, look, we both need to work together on this. Like, we both need to stop doing this. We regret it every single time. Let's be smarter and better at this. But you know what it is? You're a few drinks in, and you're enjoying it. The pints are going down well. You're having a laugh. Getting a glass of water doesn't immediately jump to mind. But I'm going to try and work on that. But it got me thinking about like whether or not I could give up drinking. Like if I could give up drinking. Now I want to sort of stress, I don't have a problem with drinking. I really don't. In fact, I am not a heavy drinker at all, and I don't drink at home, and it's a major component of my my lack of heavy drinking. I do not drink at home. There is not a single beer in this flat. There is a bar next to me. You can't quite see it, but it's really more for Lou's kind of models and artwork and stuff that she's collected over the years. There's a few dusty bottles of JD and things like that, but they're for parties. You take them out to a party, or we used to throw parties here. We don't really throw parties in this flat anymore, mainly because we're kind of disconnected from it because we're going to expect them to leave in the next couple of months. By choice, that's a choice thing. But anyway, we don't, so we stopped, we weren't going to throw any parties here, but that's what that booze is for. We don't drink at home. I don't drink at home. I've never really drunk at home. There have been times when there's been some beers here, but again, they've been left over from parties. I never sit here and think, I'll have a beer. Or, I'm just getting from work, I'll have a beer. It just doesn't interest me. I don't want to, so I'd stop doing it. It's a major factor of it. The only time I drink is when I'm out. So sometimes there can be 2 weeks between having a drink. The only problem that comes from that is that sometimes it can get a little heavy then because of that. Now, we used to joke when I was first sort of starting the job, London Underground, is because of the system that's in place in regards to like being alcohol tested and the limits that exist around work and how much alcohol you can consume before a shift, during a shift. You can't consume any during a shift, before a shift, and so on, meant that they turn you into a bit of a binge drinker. Because then when you've got, like, say, a week of earlies and you haven't really been able to touch anything, you just go hard and heavy. That never, I used to joke about that, but it never quite made sense to me because I wasn't missing a drink. I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, well, I'd really like a drink, but I can't. It just meant sometimes me and my friends, Danny and Lou and Joe and all that, we couldn't go out until a Friday. So we went out on, say, the Friday after a run of earlies, and we were off on a Friday and a Saturday. We'd go hard and heavy on that Friday. It was young, no heart. But basically, that's about as much as it gets from me. But obviously, because I don't drink quite as often, maybe that's another reason why it affects me as much. So it got me thinking, and I was wondering if, like, could I quit drinking? And I was thinking, well, you do like to have a drink at a gig, for example, but I've also done many gigs sober. I've done gigs before work. I'll be doing one tonight with work tomorrow morning that will be sober to a degree. Like I said, I might have 1 pint, but even that I'm not entirely sure about, purely because I'm not sure I need to. And that's the thing. One of the biggest game changers for me was I used to think I needed to have a drink at a gig. Something to hold. And then I decided, well, okay, I think it was Boss Keloid. I went to see Boss Keloid at the Boston Music Rooms downstairs at the Domes many years ago, and it was before work, and I really wanted to go to this gig. It was the first time I saw Tusker, actually. It was an incredible gig, and it was before work, but before work, I was going in for a night shift, and I really wanted to go to it, but like in my head I was like, oh my God, I can't drink. I was like, okay, just go and do it. And I did, and I had a good time. And it was so cool to kind of like obviously remember everything and just like have enjoyed it from that perspective, because there's been more than enough times where I've drank enough where I've forgotten the kind of night and the show and all of that. And I regret those instances, you know. I wish I could be a bit more measured in that front. But doing it made me realise that I didn't necessarily need to have a drink. And that's where my attitude changed about it, where it became would like to have a drink, but it no longer feels like I have to. This is all going to sound really, really straightforward to people who already do this and know this kind of thing. But as someone, like I said, who kind of always drinks when I'm out, but doesn't drink at any other point, it was a little bit of a kind of an eye-opening experience. And sometimes I've really, really enjoyed that side of things, not having to have a drink or not having a drink at a live show. Other times I'm more than happy to do it. But like I said, I don't have a problem with drink, because of all these things I'm saying. So it's not sad. But all always make me wonder was, could I give up drinking? And I decided that I thought, yeah, I could. I could do it. And part of that comes from is that I actually have a history of quitting stuff. And I'm not addicted to alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not addicted to it. So I felt like it could be quite easy for me outside of the casual social side of things more than anything else. But then I thought about other times, other environments, and other examples where I've been done something because of the social side of things. I've given up a lot over the years. I mean, look at me now. I'm even cut back on my caffeine intake so freaking heavily. I've not given it up yet. That seems like a step too far. I don't really want to. But I'm an ex-smoker. And I mean a serious ex-smoker. Let me just give you a quick history lesson. From age 16 to, 18, basically, when I started London Underground, I smoked a ton of weed. Yes, I was in college and I smoked a lot of weed, and I fucking loved it. I still love that smell. And, it's no secret that I told just about everybody that listens, when I retire and I'm out of the job, mate, I'm becoming the oldest pothead in the country. But that's for the future. As of right now, obviously, when I got the job for London Underground, I had to quit smoking weed. To wean myself and get myself off that, I switched to smoking cigarettes. And the rest is history. Basically, all throughout my 20s into my 30s, I was a 28-day smoker at least. If I was up early and up late, it was be more. I was a heavy, heavy smoker. This is way before vapes existed and all that. Eventually, I decided it was costing me too much money. Oh, I should say as well, at the same time, I would be smoking a lot, but I was also drinking a shit ton of energy drinks. I used to drink Red Bull, right? Red Bull like it was a bottle of water. 4 cans a day? I know, right? These are things I was doing in my 20s and 30s. And then I quit both. I quit energy drinks. I might occasionally have a Red Bull, say like a vodka Red Bull if I've like for a drink change up, but I'll only have one these days. And compared to how I was drinking energy drinks beforehand, oh my God, it is so different. And bear in mind, I was still drinking a lot of coffee. I was smoking heavily. Obviously alcohol as well. Not healthy at all. But I gave up smoking. And I gave up smoking cold turkey. And I did it for the money. That was my major motivation. And obviously, as you know, that is no easy task. I'm never going to underplay it. And I knew a manager back in the day who had quit smoking before me. And he used to tell me that, like, you never don't miss it. And he was right. He was right. It's even now, I might get a whiff. And sometimes it smells disgusting. And other times I'm thinking, God, I'd love a cigarette. But I gave it up cold turkey, and that stuck for many, many years. A series of events occurred that resulted in me picking it back up. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made, and I bitterly regret it today. But it is what it is. I started smoking again, and for a few years was smoking again. It was as simple as that. And then vaping became a kind of a bigger thing. Cheaper, healthier if you want. Yes, obviously healthier than actual smoking, regardless of what potential risks or issues that we don't fully understand yet. It was clearly better than smoking. So I switched to vaping, and then that kind of stuck as well. But I never really liked it. I never really liked vaping. I always thought I looked like a twat, as a lot of vapors do. Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I understand it, but let's be honest, we all know it. Walking around with that, blowing massive clouds of smoke, we all look like idiots. So I never really felt comfortable with it, but I never really liked it either. It never felt like a strong replacement for cigarettes, but it did get me off cigarettes and doing a cheaper thing. And I kind of thought I was going to be stuck with vaping because it was so easy, and because I could sit here and have a vape next to me at a computer, and I was basically non-stop doing it during the day, constantly. It was never not on my hand. It wasn't waking me up in the night the way it does some people, but I did start to wonder if it was having an effect on me. Anyway, every so often it'd give me throat issues, and that was starting to bug me. And it was Mangata 2024. Yeah, it was Mangata Festival 2024, basically, where I was vaping heavily, and I had the hiccups. It was giving me the hiccups all throughout the day and driving me nuts. Post Mangata, my throat felt terrible. And I basically just remember turning to... And I'd already been planning to give it up, but I was going to wait till after Bloodstock, which we know, so that was going to be August. Because I didn't think it was a good idea to give up like something like nicotine before Bloodstock. But I remember turning to Lou and saying, right, I'm done. I'm done. Like, and I said, I'm done. And I threw it all away, and that was it. It's now been almost a year, and I've been vape-free, smoke-free, and it's going to fucking stick this time. It 100% is. I will not go back. But alongside that, you know, I gave up sugar in tea, coffee, and stuff like that for Lent once when I was a kid back in Ireland. I can give stuff up. So yeah, it got me thinking, like, could I give up drinking? Now I believe I could. But what felt kind of nice was that I felt like I didn't have to. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, well, listen, you know, you've got a problem with it. This is this, that, whatever. And all it was more like, okay, you know you could. You know you're not reliant on it. You know you don't need it to go out and have a good time. But you're not going to deny yourself a drink if you want it. You just need to improve how you're taking care of yourself post-drink or during a drink. So more glasses of water. We have a rule which we struggle to stick to, which is basically every second pint have a glass of water, either half a glass or a pint, but just drink some water with every second pint or every second drink, as it were. Hard to stick to, of course. But, you know, even if you don't do it every two, but you do it every so often, you know, it feels like an important thing. It's about dehydration. And as I said before, no more late night eating. That was the worst. Because, you know, I'm eating burgers and chips. It's all salty food. It's drying at your mouth and then going to sleep. You know, you're waking up. You're not sleeping properly because I'm waking up and I'm needing water and I'm needing drinks. And nothing, you know what it is. Nothing fully quenches your thirst. It'll quench it momentarily and then immediately it starts again. Yeah, I think that covers that part of things. Yeah, really. It was just an enlightening sort of perspective. You know, and of course a lot of it's really obvious. You might be sitting there going, "What an idiot!" Like, you know, what a pointless thing to kind of talk about when he's not saying he's going to give up drinking or he feels like it's a problem or anything like that. It's just acknowledgement. I need to do better in regards to how I treat my body and how I can recover better from a heavy night of drinking. I'm still going to have a hangover. That's inevitable. But perhaps maybe if it's not so bad, that would be nice. Yeah, there we go. Right, what, 40 minutes, or come 40 minutes. So I said at the start I wanted to kind of end each video where I discuss kind of the feelings around sort of video game soundtracks. It's an important part of my life. It's one of the things that helps me relax. It's an area I thoroughly enjoy exploring, and I listen to it daily, basically, different soundtracks daily. A whole wide world of incredible YouTube videos and creators on there have turned video game music into something so special, from compilations to like walking videos. Like, I love these videos where it's like, here's a person walking the entire map of Oblivion, but to Oblivion's kind of mellow sort of sound. I love stuff like that. But there are just some games with incredible soundtracks that are like worthy of owning and listening to on their own. That's a rare thing, I think. Anyway, I figured if I'm going to do this every week where I talk about an important one to me and why I love it so much, I should start with the OG. And I call it the OG because it's one of basically probably up there as my all-time favourite video game soundtrack, beginning to end. And I even own it on vinyl. Yes, it is Thomas Was Alone. Music by David Housden. This is an absolute glorious soundtrack that utilizes the concept of blocks and very simple sound effects, kind of chiptune to a certain degree, but with this huge epic symphonic edge that just soars sometimes. This is what you get with this. The emotion in this, it still blows my mind. I can listen to the soundtrack and be in the game completely. The game is one of my all-time favorite games. I'm not going to use this time to talk about the game so much because I don't want it to be that. I want to talk about the music more than anything else. And from Where Are You, which is the opening, all the way through to Freedom. And even this has the 2 DLC tracks, Clear Skies and Gravity, which are incredible as well. But this is just wonderful. It's not very long, but like, I listen to it, I put it on, and I'm just taken back to my first experience of the game, to the moments where I just sat there in awe of what I was listening to and watching. An incredible narration by Danny Wallace, the emotion in it, it's all there in this music. Tracks like Inertia, Ghosts of the Past, Freedom. Like, Freedom is one of my all-time favourite video game pieces of music. It is so epic, it's so heartwarming, it's so grand. I adore it. It's one of my alarms. I have 2 Thomas Was Alone soundtrack pieces as alarms. You might think, well, doesn't that ruin it for you? No. I get to hear it when I wake up, and I love that. It's one of my all-time favourite video game soundtracks from a game that is very special to me. I have it tattooed on my arm and my video game shoulder as well, my montage shoulder as well, so it's quite special. The specifics I have, it's kind of that. But except it's Thomas with light shining down on him. So he's standing at the edge of a cliff with light, like a ray of light shining down on him. That's tattooed on my body up here as well. But yeah, favourite video game soundtracks, Thomas Was Alone. Do you know it? What do you think? And what do you think of everything I've talked about here? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.